We're here to announce the creation and discuss some of the early successes of the Wilhelm Homeland Security Task Force, which is based here in Atlanta but covers all of Georgia. The Wilhelm HSTF was established pursuant to President Trump's Inauguration Day executive order protecting the American people against invasion. I would like to invite Special Agents in Charge Brown and Schrank to speak about the organization and the objectives of the HSTF, and then U.S. Attorneys Keyes, Heap, and I will each talk about a few of the cases that are underway in our respective districts, each involving significant seizures, some of the fruits of which are displayed here in front of me. The multi-agency collaboration at the federal, state, and local levels, and the transnational nexus to all of these cases. We'll then each take a couple of questions before breaking out into separate groups. And with that, I'd ask FBI Special Agent in Charge Brown to introduce the HSTF model.
Thank you, Tony. Good afternoon. Thank you for being here. I'm Paul Brown, the Special Agent in Charge of the FBI's Atlanta Division. FBI Atlanta is proud to announce the establishment of Atlanta's Homeland Security Task Force. The objective of the Homeland Security Task Force is to eliminate the presence of cartels, foreign gangs, and transnational criminal enterprises from the United States. This is not business as usual, but will allow us to extend our reach, share intelligence in real time, and target threats at every level. The Homeland Security Task Force represents the power of partnerships at the federal, state, and local level. It brings those resources to address threats more effectively than any can alone. This brings a whole-of-government approach to protecting our communities. The Homeland Security Task Force will absorb key components of the Organized Crime Drug Enforcement Task Force, which has now been retired, to include the Organized Crime Drug Enforcement Task Force, the Strike Force's infrastructure, partnerships, and funding. The Homeland Security Task Force model will provide coordinated coverage across the nation with a task force in every state and Puerto Rico. These task forces will leverage the resources of the United States intelligence community to enhance our investigations. The cartels and transnational criminal organizations have enabled violence to intrude in our communities by flooding them with violence and drugs. As I have said to you before, every Georgian deserves to feel safe in their homes and their community. The establishment of the Homeland Security Task Force is a key step to ensuring that this occurs. Within only a short time, the task force is already making an impact, and you'll hear about that from the United States attorneys shortly. I'll now be followed by Homeland Security Investigations Special Agent in Charge, Stephen Schrank.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for being here today as we announce the launch of the Homeland Security Task Force Network here in Atlanta, a city that is known for being central to our mission in protecting communities and the dangers posed by criminal cartels, foreign gangs, and transnational criminal organizations. Before I begin, I'd like to take a moment to thank the leaders from our partner agencies who are here with us today. FBI Special Agent in Charge Paul Brown, DEA Atlanta ASAC Mike Connolly, Clayton County Police Chief Kevin Roberts, the U.S. Attorneys Keyes, Heap, and Hertzberg, and others. Your collaboration and commitments to the Homeland Security Task Force are the backbone of this initiative, and we are grateful for your dedication to protecting the people of Atlanta and beyond. My name is Stephen Schrank, and I am the Special Agent in charge of Homeland Security Investigations here for the state of Georgia. It is an honor to stand before you today representing the dedicated men and women of Homeland Security Investigations and our partners. The HSTF that we are here to talk about today is built on collaboration, on partnership, and bringing together federal, state, and local resources to dismantle public safety threats and eliminate the presence of criminal organizations that threaten our state and neighborhoods. This is about protecting lives and ensuring that families in Atlanta and across the region live without fear from criminal enterprises. Atlanta has been designated as a core city within the HSTF network. A core city serves as the central hub for operations, for intelligence sharing, and coordination with enhanced resources and personnel to lead the fight against transnational organizations. Atlanta's strategic location and diverse community make it a critical focal point of these threats and our responsibility for protection. HSTF really represents a new era in Homeland Security. By integrating personnel, resources, and intelligence, we are creating a unified system to disrupt and dismantle organizations involved in human trafficking, drug smuggling, weapons trafficking, and financial crimes. This approach ensures that law enforcement agencies work together seamlessly. The success of HSTF depends on the strength of its partnerships. Participants in the Atlanta HSTF include Homeland Security Investigations, the FBI, U.S. Customs and Border Protection, the Drug Enforcement Administration, Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms and Explosives, Internal Revenue Service, Criminal Investigations, and U.S. Marshals Service, just to list federal agencies on top of many state and local law enforcement agencies that are vital partners. Together, we are combining expertise, resources, and intelligence to protect our communities. But this success depends more than just on operations. It depends on trust. Trust between agencies, trust with our partners, and trust within our communities that we serve. The HSTF is committed to accountability and transparency, working hand in hand with local law enforcement, community leaders, and residents, the people that we're to protect. But this isn't just about responding to crime, it's about preventing it. Together, we are taking the fight to these criminal organizations and ensuring they can no longer harm our communities. By sharing intelligence, analyzing data, and enhancing collaboration, we will stop these criminal networks before they can cause harm, before kids are exposed to drugs, prevent tragic overdoses, or innocent victims falling victim to gun violence. The rollout of the HSTF in Atlanta is a major step forward in our fight against transnational organized crime. The HSTF is not just a task force. It is a commitment to the people of Atlanta and beyond that we will protect their families, their neighborhoods, and their future. Thank you all for your support and collaboration, and we look forward to working with this team at this critical mission.
Good afternoon. I'm Will Keys, the United States Attorney for the Middle District of Georgia. When I speak with the public, they're often surprised to learn that the communities in the Middle District of Georgia, like Thomasville, Albany, Columbus, Valdosta, Macon, and Athens, the drugs that show up on the streets there are coming from the cartel. It's coming from these organizations. And that's the pattern. That's the flow of drugs that we're talking about. It's coming from the cartel and these organizations. It's coming from a source, coming into the country, and then distributed on a local level in these communities, like Athens, like Macon, in the Middle District of Georgia, hitting the street, and then being distributed by gangs and local distributors. And that flow of drugs, that's not an opinion, that's a fact. You can trace the pattern, and that's how drugs flow through our community. And so these drugs like fentanyl, heroin, cocaine, they poison our community, but they have second-order effects and spillover effects like addiction, like overdose, like violent crime in our community. And the individuals who profit the most from that distribution are often not in our country, and they're profiting, making the most money out of it. That's the problem. And so we're here together to talk about the solution, which is what you just heard from FBI and HSI about, which is Homeland Security Task Forces. And what we're talking about that is that it's a joint effort, federal, state, local, multi-agency. As you know, crime knows no jurisdiction. There's no boundary. Cartel doesn't care about what state it's operating in. They're there to make money. And that's why we're all here together. And that's why we'll work across borders, outside the United States, across districts, across the state of Georgia, in order to bring these individuals to justice. And when necessary, we'll extradite those individuals from the countries that they're operating in and bring them to Georgia to prosecute them here so they face justice. And I have one example I'd like to give of some early success of these Homeland Security task forces. On August 26th, I stood in a parking lot at about 4:30 in the morning, surrounded by many people here, as a takedown of a cartel organization was happening in Athens. I had several hundred law enforcement officers very early prepared to go out and execute search warrants in order to bring individuals to justice. These drugs that this organization was responsible for pushing, like cocaine and fentanyl, they were operating across boundaries, just like I talked about, and ultimately 17 individuals were charged, 26 kilograms of cocaine were seized, fentanyl, 26 firearms, 12 assault rifles, and even a grenade launcher was seized in Georgia from this organization. And it was great to witness the bravery and professionalism of agents and law enforcement officers bringing these individuals to justice. And I'll give you one more specific example. When one SWAT team went to make a safe arrest of one individual, on his phone, he messaged his source of supply in Mexico and said, "Turn the truck around," right as the SWAT team went in. Turn the truck around. That's the message to the cartel. Turn the trucks around. Your business is not welcome here. And if you continue to poison our communities, you will face justice. Like that example, we'll bring you in, you'll be prosecuted, and all of us will work together to make sure that we achieve justice. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Meg Heap. I'm with the Southern District of Georgia U.S. Attorney, and my area encompasses from Savannah, Dublin, Statesboro, Waycross, Brunswick, and all along the coast. I want to piggyback and say that the only way we get to be able to prosecute successfully cases is to work with all our partners, our local law enforcement, our federal law enforcement, and what I'd like to do is give an example of how that occurred. We had officers with the Pierce County Sheriff's Office in South Georgia investigated a case and discovered 40 to 50 acre plot of land, 11,000 marijuana plants with an estimated street value of over $20 million. Farming equipment was also found. The investigation showed that the property, the equipment, were all paid for in cash. 4 Chinese nationals were found to be operating the equipment and growing the marijuana plants. The property was purchased by a Chinese national from New York who has since fled the United States. We believe back in China. We have issued warrants for him. We did arrest the 4 that were on the scene at the time. An investigation showed that more property had been purchased in Brantley County. Another 4,000 marijuana plants and farming equipment, all purchased in cash, and the property was owned by the same Chinese national that was living at the time in New York and then, as I stated, was fled the country. We also seized, forfeited 75 acres of land and a commercial building connected to the criminal organization through different civil proceedings. And it was through the coordinated effort, and that's part and parcel of what we see. We cannot do it without our local law enforcement. Many times they're the ones who alert us, then the DEA got involved, and it was working with our local agencies and our federal agencies here where we were able to investigate and then arrest those people that are bringing drugs, and they're using that money, and the money is not staying here, it's being sent to different places, and people are being harmed. I was very honored to come up here and join my fellow partners here. We're very serious. We're serious about attacking the crime that is infiltrating and existing in the state of Georgia. The only way you do it is working together, and so thank you very much.
As Special Agent in Charge Brown alluded to, we're here to talk about, for the Northern District of Georgia, the material that's in front of me here today. This all comes from an operation that occurred last Friday in Forest Park, Georgia, where FBI and DEA agents assigned to the HSTF arrested 2 men, Rico DeVille Bice, aka Casino, and David Estevan Montillo Diaz. Defendant Bice was caught fleeing from an Airbnb rental where agents were executing a federal search warrant. Bice was carrying a rubber-banded stack of cash, about approximately $4,000, but a lot more banded cash, approximately $380,000 worth, was found inside the home, along with approximately 21 kilograms of suspected fentanyl, a money counting machine, a vacuum sealer used to package bricks of illegal narcotics, and the Glock 19 semi-automatic pistol that's on the table. Because just 2 milligrams of fentanyl is a lethal amount, 21 kilograms is enough fentanyl to kill millions of people, and its street value is nearly $500,000. Diaz, the second defendant who's charged in this case, is a Southern California resident with no ties to the Northern District of Georgia. He was inside the Airbnb house when agents arrived. We believe that Diaz's connection to California is significant because we know, as mentioned earlier, the Mexican drug cartels smuggle fentanyl into our country over the southwest border. Here, the work of the HSTF in just a single night took millions of deadly doses of fentanyl off the street, denied the cartels more than $800,000 worth of drug proceeds between the cash seized and the value of the fentanyl seized, and led to the arrest of the 2 men who now face the prospect of life imprisonment without the possibility of parole. This is just the latest of many successes of the HSTF here in Atlanta. Some of you may recall that Special Agent Brown and I stood here not long ago to announce the HSTF's record-breaking seizure of nearly 100 kilograms of fentanyl, approximately 150 kilograms of methamphetamine, cocaine, heroin, and marijuana, and dozens of firearms, including a machine gun. The squad responsible for that seizure back in June is the same squad that seized these drugs last week. And in both cases, the fentanyl was stamped with a Louis Vuitton mark to note its high potency. Because the unit cost of fentanyl is relatively low, drug traffickers and drug dealers are mixing fentanyl into a large portion of the illicit drugs that are sold on the street here in Atlanta or over the internet. More concerning is that fentanyl is commonly mixed into counterfeit pills that are pressed by drug traffickers and then sold on the street or on the internet as legitimate Xanax, Percocet, Adderall, oxycodone, or other prescription drugs. So the seizure of these 21 kilograms of fentanyl should be yet another warning to the public that fentanyl is being mixed into almost all drugs that dealers are selling on the street or online. And I cannot stress this more strongly. If a pill or a powder or another substance did not come from a doctor, a pharmacist, or some other healthcare provider, you should assume that it contains fentanyl and you should not consume it. The establishment of the HSTF is paying dividends in and around Atlanta. As directed by the President, federal law enforcement agencies are working together as part of a single team. That's the model. But more importantly, they are supported by state and local partners. Here, for example, the Clayton County Police Department that provide continued and critical assistance with the mission. As for Bice and Diaz, they both remain in federal custody pending detention hearings next week. The prosecutors handling their cases will soon seek grand jury indictments to hold them accountable for their alleged wrongdoing. And with that, we'll take a couple of questions as a group before breaking out into breakout sessions as discussed before.
Can you discuss how long you all have been working on this particular investigation and how these suspects, defendants, came on your radar?
For that, I'm going to yield to my colleague, Assistant United States Attorney Thomas Forsyth, who's prosecuting the case.
Thank you. This investigation is still ongoing, and so there are a lot of things that we are not going to discuss. But there had been a significant amount of work put into what happened on Friday night, what was seized, what you see before you.
Follow-up question, please. If you could give us some context, and I don't know who would answer this question, but how does Georgia rank among states nationwide in terms of the amount of fentanyl that is imported by smuggling operations from Mexico? Where we do stand on the scale? Can you give us some perspective?
Sure. Mike Connolly, ASAC with DEA. Without giving you an exact where we stand, we're towards the top as far as fentanyl goes. Atlanta, Georgia stands as a trafficking hub, so things coming from the southwest border, there's a high likelihood they're going to land in Atlanta before going elsewhere.
And much of that drug will stay in Atlanta or?
Correct. That is correct. Yep.
Anyone else for the group? Yes.
Talk about how local law enforcement can help you guys out with these kinds of
Paul, do you want to take that? Sure.
I think like Special Agent in Charge Schrank and I both mentioned, what we do is dependent on those partnerships. So much of what you'll see with these cases very often start off with contact from somebody in local law enforcement. Whether it's a source, whether it's contact with somebody, whether it's case or arrest they might have made, that's often where our cases begin. And when they see that it might be something larger, then that's where the value of bringing all the resources, all the agencies together to make the much larger case, to not just focus on a low-level dealer in a community, but how do we look at the enterprise? What is behind that for the distribution network and the supply network? And like U.S. Attorney Keyes mentioned, our goal is to trace it all the way back to the cartels and hold them accountable and bring them to justice.
This will be the last question, Ron.
What are the other cities that have this task force besides Atlanta?
Okay, so that was the FBI updating after a news conference. You got to hear from multiple special